There goes Vroom Vroom, the American muscle car. Turn any article into a podcast. Upgrade now. thedispatch.com/join to start listening. Pontiac, Michigan. Traveling a fair amount for work outside of major metros requires relying on rental cars. And relying on rental cars quickly teaches you that while you might reserve a standard sedan every time, there is no reason to expect the rental car agency to actually give you the keys to a sedan when you show up at the counter. Eventually, you realize your fate is entirely in the hands of the rental car gods, and the rental car gods are capricious gods. Sometimes the rental car gods frown upon you. This happened to me at the 2011 Iowa straw poll. www.npr.org/2011-8/15/13963730 Weekly Standard Bachmann supporters not yet sold. When I ended up driving a Chevy Aveo, https://n wikipedia.org/wiki/Chevrolet Aveo across the entire state. Consider yourself lucky. If you've had the misfortune to ride in one, you know that a go-kart is a smoother, roomier, and safer ride. Sometimes the rental car gods laugh at, or perhaps with you, which is what happened to me in 2017 when I went to Alabama to cover the Senate campaign of Roy Moore. https://web.archive/web218106275/. Brazening it out on the ground with Roy Moore's campaign in Alabama. A notorious creep, https://thehill.com/home news campaign/358063 Flake Roy Moore's views on Muslims should concern us all. And alleged pervert, https://people.com/no defamation in dueling lawsuits from Roy Moore accusations. I was told at the rental car counter they couldn't honor my reservation for a sedan, and the only vehicle available was a boxy full-size van. Pulling up to the first campaign event in the kind of van you'd half expect to come with the words "free candy" scrolled in paint on its side, I was worried I'd be mistaken for a fan of Moore. But sometimes the rental car gods smile upon you. This happened to me at the 2020 Iowa caucuses. Would a Dodge Challenger be okay? The agent asked me in the Des Moines airport. Why, yes, it would be okay. Much more than okay. I had once before ended up with a Dodge Charger, the modern sedan version of the two-door Challenger, while covering a special election in upstate New York, and was instantly impressed. I'm not a car guy, so I lack the expertise to explain to you on a technical level why the Dodge Challenger is the greatest car on the road today. The same way I can't explain to you why Caravaggio's The Calling of St. Matthew, https://thecallingofstmatthew.jsp is the best painting ever painted, or why Bernini's David, https://efntkna.o, ab channel gymnarius, is the best sculpture ever sculpted. Each of these statements just seems to me to be self-evidently and objectively true. But I can tell you there is nothing quite like going from 0 to 60 in a Challenger. Over the course of 4 days and 469 miles in January 2020, I stuck to Iowa's blessedly snow-free backroads whenever possible. Every stop sign was no longer an annoyance, slowing me down from getting from point A to point B, but another opportunity to experience the thrill of putting the pedal to the metal in a Challenger. While speeds can vary depending on the car's trim, https://billluke.com/cdjr research Dodge Challenger 0 to 60 times, the most souped-up Challenger can go from 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds. https://dodgegarage.com/srtdemon170. Faster than the fastest Ferrari. https://www.motortrend.com/fastestferrari. My rental took more than 4 seconds to hit that mark. But there's more than just its speed that makes the Challenger great. There's the rumble and roar of the V8 Hemi engine that you can feel in your chest. There's the beautiful, sleek, retro design straight out of 1970. The heyday of the classic American muscle car. You don't have to take it from me. Just listen to Jay Leno, the YouTube.com/watch V/V8TZ7, AB channel J Leno %27's garage, the famous comedian and avid car collector who wrote /Haggerty/media/opinion/Leno climb a mountain or buy a Dodge last year. To me, the Challenger is really the last great American road car. I've driven more than 100 different cars in my life, including some nice ones. But the Challenger is really the only car I've ever loved. So when my wife's work-from-home status was starting to end in 2021, and we owned only one car, a 2011 Hyundai Tucson, I told her I was interested in buying a used Challenger that I found online for $16,000 with 50,000 miles on it. "You know your friends will laugh at you," she said. "Yes, I've considered this," I replied, fully aware that someone typically dressed in Gap Outlet polos or Brooks Brothers dress shirts doesn't exactly look like a muscle car guy. But there are much more expensive and destructive ways to have a midlife crisis. Ultimately, I gave in to the practical reality that my wife, whose daily commute could push 2 hours round trip, needed a new car, and that I, with a commute that is often one flight of stairs, did not. She got a Mazda, and I figured my midlife crisis could be postponed until our Hyundai gave up the ghost. But then, tragedy struck. Dodge announced that 2023 would be the last year it would produce the Challenger and the Charger. Then Chevy killed off the Camaro. The last muscle car left in production was the Ford Mustang. But even with the market all to itself, Mustang sales dropped 41% in the first quarter of 2025. Why does the American muscle car seem to be dying off? What, if anything, is America losing as it fades away? I set out to answer these questions after the Dispatch's editors encouraged us writers to expand our horizons beyond the typical political fare. See Mike Warren on Tiki Culture, https:/dispatch.com/article/Tiki Smuggler's Cove. For example, I decided that if I couldn't own a muscle car, at least I could write about it. And that's how I ended up in Pontiac, Michigan. Earlier this month, inhaling the smoke of burning rubber and talking to muscle car enthusiasts, that distinct smell of burning rubber is the first thing you notice when approaching the venue at Roadkill Nights. Woodward Avenue has been closed down for a day of legal drag racing, and hot rods are doing burnouts. https:/racerramps.com/blog/lifestyle burnouts serve purpose drag racers BRRLS4 Circle TID equals AFMIS BOJI ZEUM PLVH for improved traction just before they make their trial runs. Those who drove in but aren't competing have their cars lined up on the street outside. I'm greeted by an array of Challengers, purple, neon green, orange, metallic blue. But the whole scene looks more like a county fair for car enthusiasts than a shot out of Fast Furious. There are families and food trucks, but instead of the tilt-a-whirl and loop-a-plane, event-goers wait in long lines for hired drivers to take them on drift rides. www.watch.video.qxytfind AB channel Real Take, in which the driver takes such sharp turns that the car's rear tires screech and slide sideways. For little kids, some barely old enough to walk, there are Power Wheels-style muscle cars nearby to drive. A full-size monster truck does donuts in a parking lot for entertainment. But the main show for the thousands of attendees is the drag racing. The first person I talked to on the bleachings overlooking the races that day is Mike Sharrow of Suffolk, Virginia, who has attended the event 10 years in a row. Like many of the enthusiasts I spoke to, Sharrow's love of muscle cars was inherited from his father. Lego started it for me, and then building my dad's '65 Chevy truck, Sharrow told me. It was like the family hot rod. Asked what he loves about muscle cars now, Sharrow points to the creativity in modifying the vehicles with one's own hands and tools. Building your own stuff and taking somebody's car and modifying it to make it what you want. It's just a part of car culture, and it's going away. This event is keeping it alive. Shero attributes the decline of muscle car culture to a variety of factors. Being sued by the EPA for emissions control laws, outlawing even street-legal racing, closing down racetracks because people are building houses too close. It's a dying art, he said. The greats that did it, they're passing on, and their knowledge is going away with it. To understand the decline of the American muscle car, it helps to first remember that it has died and been resurrected before. The original muscle car era began, in most tellings, in 1964 with the production of the Pontiac GTO. https://carsnews.com/carstrucks features Pontiac GTO history. Competitors, including the Ford Mustang, Plymouth Barracuda, Dodge Charger and Challenger, Chevrolet Camaro and Chevelle, soon appeared on the scene. While sports cars can be foreign or domestic, muscle cars by definition, https://hotrod.com/musclecarsdetroit Autorama, must be American-made, with a powerful engine and a lightweight body. Though there's some debate about what separates muscle cars from domestic sports cars, muscle cars also prioritize straight-line speed over handling and agility, and have that, well, know it when you see it, muscular look, which is why many don't consider the sporty Corvette to be a muscle car. It is no coincidence that the muscle car era began when the oldest baby boomers turned 18. In 1963, Tom Wolfe chronicled the custom car craze gripping teenagers in America in an 11,000-word article for Esquire magazine titled, "There Goes VROOM VROOM, That Candy-Colored Tangerine Flake Streamline Baby. Rah! Around the Bend. Brum bum bum bum." https://there goes VROOM VROOM, That Candy-Colored Tangerine Flake Streamline Baby. Thousands of kids are getting hold of cars and either hopping them up for speed or customizing them to some extent. Usually a little of both, Wolfe wrote. Even the kids who aren't full-time car nuts themselves will be influenced by which car is considered boss. This phenomenon was a direct result of America's post-war economic boom. The war created money, Wolfe wrote in the introduction to his 1965 collection of essays, https://amazon.com/candy-colored tangerine flakes streamline baby DP 0324292126, titled after his Esquire essay. It made massive infusions of money into every level of society. Suddenly, classes of people whose styles of life had been practically invisible had the money to build monuments to their own styles. Where others saw the gaudy or even garish tastes on display in custom cars as unworthy of a second thought, Wolfe saw Baroque art objects worthy of study. He presciently predicted in 1963 that car manufacturers in Detroit may well be on their way to routinizing the charisma of the custom car. Indeed, within the first 2 years of production, Ford had sold 1 million Mustangs. Before Ford race cars made history in 1966 by beating Ferrari at the 24 Hours of Le Mans.